You're gonna feel this one! Above and beyond! Come on! Above and beyond! You're gonna feel this one! Come on! You asked for it!
Hey everyone, welcome to my in-depth video of modding Final Fantasy VII. In this video, I'm going to go over in more detail every mod that I'm using. So if you haven't seen my previous video, that's basically a more simplified version of what I'm going to do today. That's like to get going if you guys just want to go play a game and nothing too crazy and don't really care about like exactly what mods to use. But in this video, I'm going to cover my personal definitive way of playing Final Fantasy VII. Okay, so here we have 7th Heaven. Where we left off in the previous video, we have all the mods in order that you need to have in the same order for some of these mods to work with each other. So let's go back to my image of all my mods that I used on those videos. You can see that all of them are in order and how I have them in my picture. The only ones that I wasn't able to cover in the previous video are the Final Fantasy HD field mods, the DDS files, but we're going to do that right now. So first things first, you want to type in Quim field scenes, just like that. You want to click on the first option. Now it's going to take you to a forum. On the first forum, you want to click on this link. Now this is going to take you to the Final Fantasy VII HD field scenes database. Now you want to click here. This is the one you guys want to download, the 7th Heaven Project Edge HD field scenes. So once you click on it, it's going to start downloading. Okay, that was a pretty big file. It took a little bit. But once it's finished downloading, you want to come to the 7th Heaven manager and go right here where it says import mod. Now you want to go and find the location of your mod. So it's important to know where your downloads go to. So once you go over here, click on here, open, and press OK. And it should automatically copy the entire mod onto your mod manager. So here it goes. Project Edge, and for some reason the name doesn't mention it. It just says Final Fantasy VII HD field scenes DDS files, just like in my picture. So going back to my picture, this one goes right above the field textures and below the Arisen battle textures. So there we go. That's the file that I didn't get to cover in my previous video, which is, in my opinion, very important, and I'll show comparisons a little later. Now, if you guys remember my video with that Sephiroth mod, that looks absolutely incredible. It's right here. You want to click on that video and you want to go down to the description, and I have the link to the mod, and I'll show you guys how to download this in case you guys want to play with the same mod. So click on it. It's going to take you to Nexus mods. So this is the mod. You can go through and see what you like. Personally, for this type of game, I like the aesthetic more of the chibi models. This realistic remake models, in my opinion, don't fit the original game very well, but they're there in case you guys want to try it out and check it out. Also right here, you see all the summons. They have a more realistic look to them. The one that catches my eye is the Sephiroth mod. It looks awesome compared to any other bosses on here. So what you want to do to download it, you want to go down and click on files. Once you click on files, you want to go down where it says Gaia 7 bosses standalone pack. You want to go ahead and download that. You want to press manual download and press slow download. So once it's finished downloading, you'll see it in the top right corner. I already have it downloading at the moment, so this is just for the sake of showing you guys. So this is the mod that we're downloading. It looks freaking awesome. I love it. A lot of you guys liked it as well. I got a lot of positive feedback from it. Unfortunately, it's one of the few Sephiroth mods that I found that actually look this good and that actually work. Okay, now that it's finished downloading, you want to go down to your download folder, and you'll see, do you see how the previous one we downloaded has the 7th Heaven icon? And the Gaia bosses has the internet icon. So we can't do anything with this. We need to extract the files on it. I have the WinRAR archiver. I believe you can use the zip file ones too as well. Depends on what you have. You want to extract the files from this, because if you click on this, it's going to take you to a website and it's not going to show you anything. So you want to click on the archiver. It'll go take you to this scene. And see, it's right here. You'll see it has the 7th Heaven icon. So all you want to do is drag this to the desktop, which I found it the easiest way to do. It is a pretty big file, so it takes a little bit. Okay, so once you have it, You can exit out of this. Once you have it on your desktop, and we're going to do the same thing we did with Project Edge, you go to import mod, and you want to go to the desktop since we moved it up there, and it should be the first one. Click on it, press OK, and now we have the Gaia 7 bosses mod onto the mod manager. Okay, so the next thing we got to do is put this in a certain order. So I can't remember why I didn't put this in my image folder. I believe I found the mod pretty late in my videos, so I probably haven't updated it, which I need to do. This one covers all the bosses, so if you guys like this art style, you can make all your bosses look like that. Me personally, the only reason I downloaded this is for the Sephiroth model in the end, Safer Sephiroth. So you want to put this in between the Modder's Haven base model pack, because if you go into the base model pack, these have their own enemy models on. I prefer the models on the Modder's Haven than the Gaia bosses. But like I said, it's your own personal preference. That's the beauty of being able to mod the game. Okay, so now let's get down to the nitty gritty. So I'm gonna go over each mod and options that I personally think are the best and from my experience, and I'll show some comparison videos. So let's start with finishing touch. So you wanna go to configure mod, the backgrounds. I'm not a big fan, even though they look awesome, but these are the images that could appear if you want, like in the start screen. So I just leave these off. You can have a game over screen, which is pretty cool. I leave it off like I said. So let's go to the interface. Okay, for the interface theme, obviously if you leave it off, you can just use the original one, which I don't see why you want to do that when you have the options to have a more updated one. But I leave it on. The color scheme, the vanilla looks good. I usually always stick with the original one, but the lighter blue's been kind of catching my eye a little more. But these are all the options that you can choose. And I believe in the game you can still change the color to your own customized color. Yeah, pretty neat. So like I said, with the build of the mod manager, the reason I guess back in the day when the Echo S came in, since the Echo S mod was so new, it conflicted with a lot of mods, previous older mods. So now that it's been what, like 6-7 months now since it's been out, I'm sure they fixed a lot of bugs. Okay, let's go next. The all status visible. You can put this like in the battle screen, you can see what status you have, like if you Fury, Sadness, Haste. See, it's all customizable. You can put the XP bars in the battle so you can know when you're gonna level up next. If you want transparency, semi-transparent, or no boxes, just the font, I just leave it stock. This doesn't bother me, I just leave it default. The world map position, you can customize this. You can leave it in the corner, but you can also expand it large. It's not a big deal. Now this one, it will show you, if you look at the bottom right here, you guys want to look at the bottom left and the bottom right. It'll tell you how you want to have it customized. If you want to have the original classic boxes with all the details in it. If you want a more minimal look with no boxes. You can't go wrong with this. This is, like I said, everything we're going to do from now on is all your personal preference. This is just the ones I choose. This gives me Final Fantasy VIII vibes. Finishing touch, I believe this is the more popular one. And it's a more compact one. And it's even more, it's just little details with the circles right here. I like the feathered look to it, so I tend to go with the compact one like this. I believe in my videos I use this one. So now we're gonna go to the avatars. You can show the avatars in the corner of the names, or you can leave them off. Oh, I'm sorry, you can show the mini ones on the main one, so you won't have an extra box for no reason. Which, yeah, I obviously prefer this one because it's more sleek and less clutter on the screen. So now transparent boxes, like in the battle, you can either have them like fully transparent or dark or solid colors. I mean, I usually just leave it like that, solid. The same thing. I'm telling you, it's just little details that make the game to your own preference. You can have this with no box or just the font, but I like to have it like this. This one I won't get into too much of a detail because it's self-explanatory. You can change all your controller buttons. Same thing here. Now with this one, I just recently found out that if you leave it off, it's usually all the same icon. If you put it on, it gives you a distinctive look, which is really cool. There's just more options. Same thing, icon order. This is all personal preference. I won't get too much into detail about this because it's not really that important to cover because it's self-explanatory. Okay, now let's go to the avatars. I believe in the previous video I did go over this one. You can have them cropped, feathered. It's the one I prefer. Transparent with a box around them. We can have the white screen like in the OG. And this is actually the OG. You can have the chibi ones. I believe this is from the Opera game, the mobile game, which are really cool. I really like this art style. Gives a different feel to it. Same thing with the white screen. I'm not sure if this is all custom. I believe they are, because obviously these characters were not in Final Fantasy Tactics. So this is really cool too, if you guys prefer the Tactics art style. I usually just go with feathered. Same thing with this. It's the little avatars that show in the battle screen. You can have the original Nomura artwork. I tend to go with this one. I've been feeling this one a lot lately. The chibi one's really cool too. Or the Tactics. All right, so that's all finishing touch we covered. So now I'm just gonna save it. Now let's cover enhanced stock interface. Configure mod. Okay, with the enhanced stock UI, I'm not entirely sure why you need this. I believe some of it, you need to use this for finishing touch, I believe, for certain options. But this has its own enhanced UI. If you guys prefer the OG look and just want everything more HD and sharp, you can go with this option and don't even use finishing touch. See, it doesn't even give you the option to change on and off, because I believe since we have finishing touch enabled, a lot of this stuff you can't change. The enhanced stock UI, there's certain things you want to have on, but honestly, I just put finishing touch and I put it above it, so this one can be top priority, and whatever finishing touch doesn't have, it goes down to the next, which is the enhanced stock. So now let's go to Cosmo Memory. Cosmo Memory, this is to override the game's dynamic stereo and force sound effects to come through the center channel. Obviously you want to have that on. It makes the sounds and the game sound more crispy. The menu sounds, you can have it updated, vanilla. You get the idea. Now if you want the remake sounds, they have it on here as well. It's a lot of sounds. If you just want to have the original OG vanilla, there you go. I usually just pick the vanilla or the updated vanilla. Okay, now let's go to, if you want to have your characters make voice attacks, you can have that on. If you don't like that stuff, you can leave it off. I just leave it on. Now this is the field ambience that adds on to the game. Like it's like the background sounds. Like in Midgard, for instance, you can hear cars driving by. You can hear metal clanging, like from the construction. It's really cool. It just adds more ambient sounds to the game. You can leave that off or on. Now the battle ambience, I believe is the same thing. It's just to add the same type of ambient noises, but when you're in a battle. So if you're fighting outside, you'll hear birds chirping and stuff like that. You can leave that on or off. Now the movie sounds, apparently you can add sound effects to the FMVs, the pre-rendered movies. So it's pretty cool. You can hear them walking and they'll add on. A perfect example is when Cloud and company are leaving Shinra building.
We have to hurry. All right.
Where to?
Better be the hell out of here.
That's it. Come on.
Tifa, follow me.
Move your ass, Red.
Shut up.
Seriously, Tifa?
Cloud.
Let's mosey.
Are you sure about this?
world map footsteps and the field footsteps. That's cool. They give you options. Okay, you want to save that. Now let's go to the Echo S, which is the voice mod itself. Okay, obviously you want to have the voices on. I really like that they added day and night system. But personally, for the sake of my videos, when I did it, I left it off because I felt like the game was looking a little way too dark. Usually when I was recording those gameplays, it was at nighttime. All of my game would have been at night, but you can, if you guys want that, you can leave it on. Same thing with the music. This Echo S has its own built-in soundtrack. It's made and timed specifically to work with the voice acting of Echo S. Honestly, I turned this off because I listened to most of it and I wasn't a big fan. It wasn't bad because I know a lot of people dedicate a lot of time to this and you can tell they did a good job with it. It's just, in my personal opinion, I did not like the music that they had in the soundtrack, so I left that off. So battle lines, obviously, if this is like when the party members use limit breaks or summons or cast magic or just use any attack, they will grunt. They will say something. They will say, not like, for instance, Tifa would be like, it's not over yet, or she'll say ha, you know, like battle grunts. So if you guys don't want to hear that too much, you can change the frequency down to 100, 75, 50, 25%, or just leave it off if you guys don't want to hear them grunting the whole time. I personally leave it at 100 or 75, depending on how annoyed I get, I guess. So that's for the battle lines. So there's the battle grunts, the same thing if you don't want to hear them grunting every time. The auto text advance. So this would automatically advance the text when you're in a movie or in a cutscene or something like that, or when you're watching some story progression thing. I'm not sure exactly what this is. I believe there's no option you can change it off. So there's really nothing you can do there. Okay, next let's go to the Cosmos FMV. So what this is gonna do, if you guys aren't familiar with the original Final Fantasy game, a lot of the scenes were all recorded in 15 FPS, which in that time it wasn't a big deal. But when you're playing these updated visuals and then you go to the cutscenes, they look extremely horrid. So this mod will give it 30 FPS. It'll definitely significantly look better, but this is to choose your character type. Like when Cloud jumps on the train, is an example. I obviously picked the chibi style because it complements my battle mods, my battle style characters and all that. But if you guys want a more realistic approach to it, you can put this one. See, Cloud has a more humanoid figure, or you can put no change, where you can just leave it like how it is in the original. I just picked this one because it looks the best and more detailed, and it stays extremely faithful to the original chibi style. Now the tsunamods, this, I think I went over it a little bit in the previous video. Yeah, this mod is pretty self-explanatory. There's really no options. Either you want it off or you want it on. So this will just update your battle textures in the fights and all that, and they look phenomenal. This is honestly the best battle textures that I found. I think there's a couple more out there, but I believe these are the best. They make the game look so freaking good. Okay, so we just downloaded the field scenes. So if you guys look in the description, let's click on this link. It'll explain it to you. It says currently 107 out of 729 field scenes are finished, which is about 15% of the game of all the scenes. They're all fully updated with this mod. So it's not everything, but what I've noticed is usually the most important ones. I'll show some comparisons. You definitely want to have the Project Edge field scenes. This is amazing work. As you guys seen in the video comparisons, these things make the game just pop with the art style of the chibi models and everything else. It just blends so well. But yeah, you can go here and you can pick exactly what screen, what scene specifically. Some scenes have more options. You can go into each one of them and choose what you want. Very minimal choices as well. Changes, I mean. This one gets a little more contrast on it, darker. This one's a little lighter. It's so cool. But you guys definitely want to go and download this one. This is like probably one of the most important mods that I found. I love it. It's the best one I found so far. Same thing with the Satsuki Yatoshi field textures. All these world map textures, mini game textures, spell textures. There's not too much to show, otherwise I'll show like videos, but it's really very minimalistic changes to it. It basically just gives the HD look to most of these. The field textures work in conjunction with this. So the reason you want to have the field mods on top of the field textures is because the field scenes, anything that's not in here, this one's going to take over. Since this one's not fully covered, it's only 15% of the entire game, this one's going to take over. So this one's, I think most of it's all completed because he used an AI upscaler with it. This one has the best scenes, but whatever this doesn't have, this one's going to be taken over. That's the reason we want to put this one on top. Same thing with the world map textures. It's very minimal. I think it's a little less pixelated, I believe. There's really not much of a difference. Same thing with the mini games. There's not much of a difference. Okay, let's go to the 60 FPS gameplay. Okay, so FPS, you can choose between the original FPS, full of 30 FPS, or 60. Obviously 60. The field animations, not too much of a difference. Just leave it original. There's very minimal look to it. I believe Cloud just walks somewhat differently if you pick these other ones. I usually just leave it like that. The field mode is very important because I got to a point in the game where the 60 FPS was affecting for me to continue because there's some animations that are kind of glitched. You'd want to have it on. Specifically, in my own personal experience, I got to the point where I was in the crater on this too, I believe. You're in the crater, then you fight Genova. I'll show a clip of where I'm talking about. But it's the part where these like really windy scenes with electricity and lightning coming down. That part of the game was very glitchy. Since it was FPS, it speeds up animations. So I just couldn't cross. So I believe this one fixed it. Or it was either that or just turning off the 60 FPS and just going through that part without it. Unfortunately, that was back then. I don't know if they probably patched it by now. Hopefully they did, because that was a very annoying part, which I had to do a lot of trial and error. Now you want to go to the Modder's Haven base model pack. It has its own enemy models, items. I leave them off. Honestly, the only reason I chose to have Modder's Haven, and I'll show you, it's the summoning models are phenomenal. The vehicles I left off, animals, the Vincent limit breaks are awesome. Custom FPS animations, I leave them on. The Chocobo models, world models, helicopters. Neo Bahamut, he looks so freaking awesome. You can have him as original. You can have him from Final Fantasy X. And I just love this updated one. This is like the more newer one. Ramu, you can have him. You can have this one. He looks like something pulled out from Lord of the Rings. Or you can have Final Fantasy IX, which looks pretty sick as well. I just leave it at the original updated one. Now the save point, it's pretty cool. They give you a lot of options. Pretty nice ones too. You can have a Moogle. You can have the material save point. This looks really cool, by the way. Or this, it's the Buster Sword on a rock with feathers everywhere. This looks really cool as well. But basically, Modder's Haven, I just use it for the summoning and some enemy models. That's all I use it for. Okay, now we're at the Gaia 7 bosses mod. So this one, like I said, I just downloaded it more for Sephiroth. Also, from testing, I noticed that this mod, unfortunately, messes with the field model. So when you're running around on the field map, on the world map, Cloud for some reason is floating in the air. Once I remove this mod, everything works perfectly. But once I have this mod activated, that's the only thing I've noticed that makes Cloud floating in the air. And I honestly cannot stand it. So I usually just leave it off until I'm going to get to like the final boss, and I'll leave it on. But yeah, there is some glitches to it. Unfortunately, that's the only bad side to modding. There is some beta testing you need to do. So now let's go to the Nino Style battle mods. So in battle, this is how your characters are gonna look. As seen in my videos, they have options for a 2.0 or you want the 3.0 Barrett. Same thing with Tifa. She has a lot of options. She has her cowboy outfit. You can play as Jesse model if you really want to play as Jesse. Or you can have the OG Nino style, which it looks literally ripped off from Nomura's artwork. Aerith, Red 13, Yuffie. These don't have that many options. I believe Tifa has a lot of options though. See, they look awesome though. Honestly, just ripped straight out from the art. Jessie mod, only use this as you're using the Jessie mod. So you can play as Jessie. You can have her swapped from Tifa, I believe. Now this other is for extra models for Turks, a few enemies, bosses, and such. I just leave it on. This one I leave it off because it says change model of all Cloud's weapons to the Buster Sword. So this kind of defeats the purpose of the other mod, which is a dynamic mod, which you'll see, like if you're using a different weapon for Cloud, you'll be able to see it in the field. So if you leave this on, the only weapon you're gonna see is the Buster Sword. I just leave it off. Okay, so now we're at the Chibi mods. Okay, Chibi field and world mod models. I leave them on. Yeah, I leave it on. This upgrade, it fixes a lot of bugs. For some reason, the PC version of Final Fantasy VII has a lot of bugs where some characters, their eyes will get stuck when they're blinking, or sometimes their mouths stay open. Like it's weird. So I just leave that on to fix it. Okay, so now we have Ifrit's little work. It is a few slight recolors to the Buster Sword on Cloud's back. I just leave it on. Looks awesome. If you guys want, you guys can play as Tifa with her remake Chibi model. I just leave it original, even though it looks great. The dynamic weapons is what I was talking about. It equips weapons to Cloud, Aerith, and Sid at all times, so you'll see their weapons changing depending on what they're using or what you have equipped. Now, if you guys remember, I just leave all of the Chibi style vehicles and creatures, animals, whatever you want to call them. I just like their look better. It fits the Chibi look way better than using these, but you guys can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. Okay, now for the last two. These are the soundtracks that I use. The ones that I usually go for the most are the symphonic remasters. This is all very subjective. For attack or weapon, I just use mostly the symphonic remasters. Now you'll see a lot of these songs that they're on no change because I'm not a big fan of how they sound. You'll see what I'm talking about. But first, let me go over them real quick. Birth of a God, obviously, is Bizarro Sephiroth. This is how this one sounds. Okay, so as you guys heard, it's not bad. It's just not quite what I want. So that's the reason why I have another soundtrack. But since I prefer most of the songs from here, I leave it on top. So let's go to this one. Let's listen to the same track. This is the reason why I have it on the symphonic remasters. I have it deactivated. I just have it deactivated and save. Then you go to this one and you'll see that I have it activated. So it's activated, and this is the reason why I prefer this one over the other one. It's so good. That is the reason why I prefer this over that. Just because of that. It just sounds so much better. So what I'm trying to say is that make sure you pick what soundtrack that you want and put that above the other one. Okay, so you can configure, go through every single song that you want. There's so many options. You go through the movies, the beginning movie, pick everything that you want, And the ones that you don't want, leave them no change. So when you go to your other soundtrack choice, go to that same song, you can have that one on. The way the mod manager reads it, it's like whatever's not active in this one is gonna play for the ones that you have active on this one. I don't know if that makes sense. Hope it does, but that's how I have it set up. There's so many songs. Overall, the symphonic soundtrack remaster is the better one in my opinion. But there's a lot of good themes and songs on this ED music soundtrack. It's so good, especially towards the end of the game. Let me show you one more example of what I'm talking about. Now let's listen to Genova and the symphonic remasters. Okay, it's not bad. It's just it doesn't hit. It doesn't hit like the original. So I leave that off because I'm not a big fan of it. I leave it off and I go down to my other one, the ED music soundtrack, and then I go to the same one, Genova, and I have it on. So the games, when I get to that point of the game, it's not gonna play this one. It's gonna jump to the next soundtrack that has it active. Just listen to how much better this track sounds than the other one. Guys, it sounds incredible. Like I said, everything that we cover with the music and certain models, it's all subjective. It's whatever you guys prefer. This is just my definitive way of playing Final Fantasy VII on PC. So this is the way I recommend to play the game. It just gives it the more definitive finish and look that I feel even Square Enix would do if they even ever go back to ever remastering this game. Honestly, I don't think it's ever going to happen. It's extremely fun playing the game over again, no matter how many times I beat it already. But just going through these mods and seeing them in different colors and different options, like it's incredible. So I hope this video answered a lot of your questions, exactly how I got my videos to look the way they do. So yeah, this is the updated list. If you guys want to refer to this to play on your own way, you guys can change out a lot of things for your own preferences. There's so many mods out there on Nexus mod, especially. Like there's so many new ones coming out each day that there's like an endless possibility to this. Thank you guys very much. We're almost at 250 subscribers. That's incredible. I just was a couple days ago when it was at 200. I appreciate it very much. Thank you all again. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.